Okay, so this is going to be a Tahm Kench Jungle commentary video, which I don't really do too many of these. I've done a few in the past, most notably Victor and the Pantheon, but this is going to be one on Tahm Kench, and maybe I'll end up doing more of these in the future. This is the final Master Promos game. So we just start Talisman and Refillable, and then we look to just play aggressive immediately early on because we have a pretty good team composition to actually skirmish with them. Malzahar has his Voidlings, but it's not really as threatening as Tahm Kench getting a stun off. So at this point we're just waiting for Karma and Rise, and then we're going to go into the base. Well, into the red side jungle. So when we come in, we immediately place a ward, and now we just have to be careful. Group up again, and then we move into the red brush. That way, if anyone's here, they can't just flash away, even if I Q. Because then, in some cases, they can just get to that brush, and then it becomes awkward with vision. When we come around here, and we don't see them in this brush, at this point, I think that they're invading us, because they are Blitzcrank. Or not Blitzcrank, I'm sorry. They do have some potency for the invade. We get the first blood on Ezreal. And unfortunately, we couldn't actually get Malzahar. I think if we were better coordinated, we could have also gotten Malzahar too. And so my thought process is right now is that I'm going to go to blue. Graves isn't going to get the best leash. It's not going to be that bad because Malzahar is going to give him immunity with the Voidlings, and Malzahar's Voidlings do hurt. So Graves is probably going to be ahead of me in terms of clear speed, but that's all right. Because I've already taken too much damage that I already wouldn't have taken, I just basically have Caitlyn and Karma tank, and that's what the pings are for. Now I just try to kite a little bit. I back up, wait for the Q auto, just that way I sustain, or I don't end up taking one more auto attack. Come over to Gromp. Karma actually leased the Gromp, so the damage that she did wasn't actually more than the damage that I would deal if she just let me do it naturally, because I can do auto QW, and then I can hold it inside of my belly, and then while I'm holding it inside of my belly, I wait for the Q to come back up. And this is also really unfortunate. So at this point, I initially had a thought to immediately go down to bottom lane. And I'm just basically paying attention to the minion wave. You can see my eyes in the bottom right. They're constantly just looking at the minimap. And here, I'm going to smite it, and I just want to recall. Boots are extremely important. I really liked that Rise actually gave me a ward to see if Graves would come into my red side jungle. And then I saw that Kayle actually messed up in top lane. So when Kayle messes up like this, I know immediately. So I'm going to pause. Well, we're going to go back, actually. So when I take a peek at top lane... let's take a peek. We're just doing F keys to basically get some judgment of the lanes. So when this happens right here, okay, we can see that Spellcaster, melee. So Kayle's going to have 2 excess Spellcaster minions, and she's going to have a melee minion. This means that if I do end up getting boots, this wave is going to crash into the turret probably around 3 minutes, depending on how Poppy chooses to try to CS. So if I end up getting boots and I do finish my recall, which I'm about to, I'll get to red buff around 3 minutes, which is when the lane is likely to reset. Once it's going to reset, Kayle's obviously going to turn on her AoE again, and then it's going to shove into Poppy. I don't think that she's going to shove it in the speed that it would crash again into the turret, and so I predict the lane to be like right here. This enables me to go from Fountain to red buff, and then I can come around into Tribrush, likely at the time where Kayle would be trying to get a ward down in River or inside of the Tribrush, and then I can meet her with my Q and my red buff slow, and then me and Poppy can look to pick up a kill. If I do kill her off of this, even though I'm not level 4, I can probably check on Scuttle Crab, check on Blasting Plant, wait for her to teleport back top lane, and then Bengi her. If I do successfully Bengi her, then I'm thinking that my route can just be this. Boom, 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 boom. And that's a pretty safe clear, and then I can just ping out Graves because then we know that he's on the right-hand side of the map. And so in chat, I just typed to Poppy, I'm coming top. And that was because I was getting a little bit worried because Poppy looked like she was trying to CS needlessly. And then I just typed to Poppy again, please just wait. I just told her Kiraria. So now I'm coming over to red buff. And I didn't actually Blasting Plant over. Now, when I see that this is missing, I'm immediately just going to move top lane, but then I hear the Ricochet from Graves. So if you're playing with game sounds on and you're actually in close proximity to certain spells in the game, you can actually audibly hear them. You'll notice that this happens if you're hugging Baron Pit, and sometimes you hear attacks even through the Fog of War. And so I heard that he was at Golems, and so I attacked the Blasting Plant to come over. And then I just end up pigging that Graves is here. Now, I was about to cry because I thought, well, I don't have a flash to chase, but then I realized that Kayle wasn't paying attention, and I realized that I can tell her to get in my belly. Now, I don't know exactly what she was thinking. I expected her to flash, and now I'm just taking a peek at the minimap to see where Poppy is, and I want to make sure that we give Poppy the kill here. Now, we're not going to attack Poppy because it's all about getting your laners ahead. Maybe don't do this in low MMR, but if you're like middle MMR or high MMR, this is a better way to play, because it's a lot more impactful for your laners to have farm than you. Because basically, junglers are generally low economy anyway, and they function very well with a lack of items because inherently their kits are pretty strong. So now, even though my golems aren't there, I'm able to hit tab and count Graves' CS, and so I know his exact route, and I can predict exactly where he's going to go. So I actually end up taking more damage than I wanted to, killing this Wraith camp, but it doesn't really matter because my wolves aren't up. I'm trying to conserve Smite because I was potentially thinking about extending into getting Scuttle Crab and then recalling into the Chilling Smite. So now we know, because Graves' CS is 19, we know that he just cleared his Wraiths, and he's headed down to Golems, and that's the only thing that he can do right now. We have a pretty rough estimate of when his Wolves and his Gromp do end up respawning, so it's really easy to predict where he's going to be for about the next minute and a half. So I get Swifty Boots because I basically think to myself, okay, he's clearing Golems probably about 5 seconds after I leave Fountain. And so after he clears Golems, he doesn't really have anywhere that he can go, and he's going to end up recalling. By the time he touches down at Fountain, I'm going to be able to be exactly where I am right now, almost. He's already going to be leaving base a little bit, depending on how much he needed to regenerate, and I can come back to top lane in synergy with Poppy's teleport to get a gank onto Kayle. I know that she has flash, so I have to play this careful, but I use my control ward anyway because, again, I'm just trying to support Poppy and get Poppy ahead. If we can shut down Kayle, her wake-up period is going to be delayed significantly. So I just come into the brush because I think that it's very unlikely, actually, that Kayle has a ward inside of River if she also invested into that ward inside of Tri. I place a ward over the side of the wall just to check if Graves is maybe waiting on the Blasting Plant, and I noticed that Ryze is spamming a lot, and you can basically see my eyes because right now I'm just looking for Lysandra. At this point, Kayle actually stepped about 2 centimeters too far forward, and then I just pounce on it. I get the W, and then I ping, and then Poppy pings me to slam into the wall, and I give Poppy the kill again. So now I just head over to my golems because I want to make sure to clear this camp so that I can begin to head to the bottom right-hand side of the map. I know that Graves right now is on the left-hand side. I know that he's basically at Wolves. And you can just, again, see my eyes. I'm constantly watching the minimap. I think it's really important that people watch eyes and see exactly what certain people are doing. So when I hit tab, I realize that he's cleared his Wolves again, and he is level 5, so he has a level up over me. His Wraith camp's about to respawn, but his golems are still down, so his paths are still pretty readable. So I'm under a little bit of pressure, and here you can see I'm actually fiddling with my poker chips because I was really stressed, because that was the type of play that Poppy didn't need to make, and now she's going to lose 2 waves for it, and it really made me feel bad, man. So right here, it's a bit of a shitty recall because I can't actually end up getting, I can't get Chilling Smite. If Poppy doesn't die and she actually distracted Graves long enough and she was able to stay up in top lane, I would persist on, or I would keep moving into my wolves and I would kill wolves. But because she ends up dying and Graves is going to get the reset, it's hard to predict if he's going to just immediately hand the blue over to Lysandra or he's going to get onto the map and go over to his red buff. If he goes over to his red buff, I need to be in close proximity to bottom lane because I'm unsure exactly at this point what his XP is when factoring in the CS and the kill onto Poppy. So I don't know if he's going to be level 6 and be looking to make a play in bot lane. So I ping mid lane and then I ping blue and I tell Ryze eat mid and then come to blue. I see Graves on the minimap, and I'm not really looking at him, which honestly, that's a pretty fucking bad thing to do. I actually tilted right here, because the big wolf didn't move in front of the other ones, and so I ended up having to smite it. But I kind of wanted to smite it anyway, although I wanted to save the smite just for blue. just to clear it faster and take less damage. Before I even start blue, I want to make sure that Graves isn't in river, and I want to make sure that he hasn't cleared Scuttle Crab. So I'm going to hand the blue over to Graves, and this is the problem with the route that I'm experiencing that is mostly actually in part due to Poppy's death in top lane, where I don't have level 6 right now, because if I had level 6 and Graves shows bottom for some reason, then I can actually just ulti me and Rise bot, and we can have a party in bot lane. I'm trying not to take any damage, even though there's the plant up, and I just want to get the Scuttle Crab right now to provide more safety. This is something that you can do on Tahm Kench. You can throw the crab right into this position, and then you can just hold this down, and you'll be able to kill the crab for free. So when I see Graves right there, I know that he's trying to get my red buff, but I also know at the same time that he probably doesn't have his the ability to get wolves. So why he's on the left side of the map right now is beyond me. So I just get the Chilling Smite, and my immediate thought process is that I'm going to get red, and then I'm going to head top lane. And this is because my bottom lane is recalling, and I know that Graves' route is likely to be Gromp into recall into playing East-centric. So I'm going to be on the opposite side of the map. If I can kill Kayle without having to use my ult, I can then use my ultimate to actually bring me and Rise or me and Poppy bot lane to counteract any sort of gank attempt that Graves might have. If we win that, then we can also capture the Mountain Drake. I get level 6 right here, and I'm just basically paying attention. I think that because Rise dissuaded Graves from coming in over here, I don't think that there's really any ward. I elect not to go into Baron Pit because I don't know if Scuttle Crab's actually been taken. I don't have intel on that. And so now I'm coming up via the control ward, and I know that this is an easy gank because we have double control ward. I slow her, and then I use no CC as CC. She thinks that she's really cute, but she's not. And then I just spit her out immediately because I don't expect her to anticipate that I'll spit out immediately. I expect her to think I'm going to try to hold her longer. So I'm just trying to fiddle with her muscle memory. Right here, I'm just auto-attacking all the creeps, but I'm not going to tax it. I just want Poppy to keep getting further ahead, and I don't really need that gold. Because I know that if I clear the Gromp camp, it's not only going to level me up, but it's going to provide me with the gold that I need to get bombies. While I'm clearing the golems, and I realize that Poppy ended up recalling, I take a peek at bottom lane. You can see my eyes again, and I know that at this point bottom's in a pretty safe position, and because of the pink ward on the right hand side, I know that Graves is also likely to be safe from any sort of gank attempts, or Rise is likely to be safe from any sort of Graves' gank attempts. However, Malzahar shows up and Poppy has to use ultimate, but I know that because that's basically a match gank in a way via the teleport, where it just dissuades both parties from really doing anything, I opt into a full clear, that way I can get the Cinder Hulk. Now once I saw Kayle coming back into top lane and I realized that they don't have any wards on this side of the map, we just come top. I wasn't really expecting the fact that Lissandra was going to ulti here, and I know that Kayle is basically just wanting to die to me, but I actually end up missing the Q, which was really sad because if I don't do that, maybe Poppy can snapcast on Lissandra and we can kill her too. Now at this point I see the chaos happening down in bottom. And I know that, okay, well, Graves is right there. There's a very slim chance that his left side jungle isn't up. And then I take a peek at Scuttle Crab and I realize that's tier 1. So I just pick it up because I'm just trying to get to the gold value for Cinder Hulk. When Caitlyn ends up going down, I assume that they're going to press for First Blood turret. And so what I actually want to do in top lane is I want to kill Kayle again immediately because I have that double control ward and I know that there's no chance that this is going to end up being warded, such as like the blue buff or something. I save my smite, as you realize, but I also stop using mana because I'm not exactly sure how long the combo against Kayle is going to be. So I want to make sure that I have at least enough mana for 3 Qs and a W if necessary. I don't actually... Okay, I come over here in the event that Kayle was going to come over to ward river, but then I realized that she's apparently not thinking very well, and she might be under tilt. So I just wait in the brush for her to move forward, and now I basically feel like it's at the point of no return. Right here, I'm trying to determine like what angle of approach I should take, because if she goes to right here, then, and she tries to actually push in the turret, then this is going to be better. But if she just stays right here and she shoves the wave, then I can just do a hook like this, and I can end up killing her somewhere down here, depending on how she wants to use her summoners. But she can't get away from this angle either, because from here, if she tries to W down or W down here, I'm still going to be in range for the tongue lash, and I can hit anything. So I'm waiting, and then she actually just ends up flashing. So I shove in top because Poppy ended up going bottom, and I know that Kayle can't really do anything against me. If she tries to fuck with me, I'll just fuck her up with the Chilling Smite. And I have the Swifty Boots, so I slow down her slow. I'm also trying to kind of zone her, which I let some of the minions die, and then I just leave 2 minions to go into her, and that might slow her down a little bit. I see that they're getting kills down in bottom lane, and Kate ends up finalizing the kill. At this point, I basically thought that the game was over. My immediate thought is to actually just recall and then head back top lane. I was a little bit salty, actually, that I was off by 50 gold because I wanted to go into Spirit Visage against their team. Because the Lissandra and the Kayle and the Ezreal and the Malzahar, the Spirit Visage is going to be really strong. So my pre-planned build route was going to either be Spirit Visage into Wit's End or Spirit Visage into Solari's Locket. So I realized that Kayle wasn't top and I was going to start Golems, but then I realized that, okay, she actually is here and now she doesn't have Flash. So I'm just running up to her, slow her, and we're going to use no CC as CC. Try to get as many autos off as possible. And now Graves is here, and we see Graves, and I'm willing to flash for this. If he really tries to E over the wall, then it would have been fine. Instead, he actually tries to kill Ryze, and then Ryze lets him know what's good, and then I just basically try to stand in front of him. I tell him to get into my stomach, and now with Graves dying, it's unlikely that he actually had any wards because he moved into Ryze and he knew that Ryze was on the way. Even if he would kill Ryze, he must know that he's also going to die to us on the follow-up, so I just assume that there's no wards inside of the river and we can just freely get Herald. Especially because of where everyone else was, and we know that they don't have a proper way to react to this. Karma wasn't tanking like a little bitch, but unlucky. I actually didn't want to recall right here, but it doesn't matter. What I ideally wanted to do was I wanted to go and kill golems, and that way I would be able to afford another control ward. So I was thinking right here, actually, what do I get? And I looked at Kindle Gem and I realized the difference in HP isn't really worth it. Additionally, the 10% CDR isn't going to change any of the combos that I'm doing, and my ultimate's on cooldown anyway. So it's not like I'm about to use it and I could value the 10% CDR. I don't have ulti right now, so I just got the double ruby crystal to just maximize efficiency. When I see Kayle in top lane, my immediate thought again is, okay, are you going to keep shoving? And if you are, then I guess I'm just going to come top and let you know what's good. At this point, it's important again to just keep watching the eyes, because all that I'm doing is watching the minimap and I'm trying to look at minions. Although kiting the red is a little bit unique for Tahm Kench, because if you don't do it properly, then you will end up taking extra damage. This makes me a little bit frustrated that they do end up dying, and I just keep trying to take quick peeks so that I can get intel on what exactly is going on. Now I see that Poppy's teleporting, and I saw that Kayle was maybe trying to stop her. So at this point, I think to myself, okay, I'm just going to kill Kayle because she doesn't know what's good. No CC as CC. We just keep autoing her. We want to apply as much damage, but then I realize that she's already in lethal, so we throw her out and we just get the Q and she succumbs to me. So now we have the W max, and I decide that because I have red buff, I'm actually just going to shove in this wave, and I'm going to stay top and get the tower, because they can't send anyone to me anyway that would be able to prevent me from killing this turret. And when Graves showed up, I actually got a little bit nervous, but he ends up just going down anyway. At this point, I knew that I couldn't get the turret on this wave, but I wanted to stay anyway, because with the Cinder Hulk, I can still push the wave in, and it's going to be fine. So I'm just trying to position in a way that lets me AoE everything, and I actually miss the CS because good player. And then I back up. And the reason that I back up is because it's more important for me to get back out and onto the map than to stick around and wait for that turret. So right here, I also get the blue trinket. This is just something specifically that I do. I know that almost no one else does it, but I feel like the scanner sweep from the blue gives you too much information in the mid game, and it lets you read things way too well. So Poppy was asking me, let's go with ult, and I pinged her my ult cooldown timer, and then I told her that there was a pink ward inside of the tri-brush. And Poppy said, I think she said actually, or I wasn't reading, and it already passed, I'm not going to rewind. She said that, how is there a pink ward there or something? So when they show up in middle like this, I just figure, okay, I'm going to come over here and check on blue. I realize that blue's not here. And then I think, okay, Gromp's not here as well, but they're probably going to come top to stop Poppy. So I just wait in this brush because I definitely want to take a 2-on-2 right now. Now, when Poppy keeps moving down, I have to move down into Gromp because I assume that they would try to flank her. Like someone comes up from lane and then someone comes around, and then I end up finding Graves. Graves actually fail flashes. We just spit him out. Now at this point, I'm just going to kill Gromp. And Poppy actually wants to go on Kale, even though I agree that it's pretty easy to do that. I value the blue buff a lot more, and I feel like this is a little bit unnecessary, but it doesn't matter. Kale actually plays this pretty interesting because I was trying to actually eat Poppy. But, you know, what is Tahm Kench? Alright, so I just back up completely. I took a peek at Ezreal, but that was also just instinctual. I actually backed up too far because my thought process was, okay, Ezreal can ult me. But then when I realized that two people end up showing up in top, well, Lissandra shows up in top lane, I decide that also because of Malzahar, I can just continue on with a full clear because I just want to maximize gold efficiency right now because I'm not going to be coming back to this side of the map. So at this point, I have 1300 gold and I can recall into Spirit Visage and then get another item, but Graves was up in top lane and I was considering canceling the recall in order to teleport me and Poppy into the fight. So at this point, I decide to go with Solari anyway, and because I'm not respecting Graves because he's too far behind, I just opt into continuing on with the magic resistance. We get another control ward, and now we start to move into mid lane. I see the Ezreal ult, so I just sidestep out of the way. So at this point, I know that from the angle that Ezreal took, he's dead. I just blue trinket to give Kate some vision. Ezreal has a pretty creative attempt at killing Kate. I don't really think that the heal was worthwhile. That was cute by Graves, and I actually have no idea why he was there. But I gotta let him know what's good with the kimchi. This was a pretty scary fight. Malzahar appeared, and then I actually didn't Q. I should have Q'd. This was a really, really, really big mistake by me. So I don't feel good about that. When this happened, I also didn't trust that I could hit my Q. I thought the Voidlings would have moved in front of it, and it's just another mistake that's not really acceptable. So now, at this point, I know that me and Kate are in mid with a free wave, and Poppy and Karma are chasing them back through their blue side jungle, so they don't have anyone that can come to respond to this. I also know that Ezreal doesn't have ultimate, so it's not like we're going to potentially lose the wave or take any risk of damage and then potentially give up Mountain Drake. So now also, they're pinging Baron. I actually lie to them, and I say that no, I don't have Smite, and it's basically just because I was thinking more about we just can't lose this game. And it was the final game of the promo. So I didn't actually want to come over to Baron and then have something creepy end up happening. They tried to kill Poppy, and I wanted to throw Poppy onto Ezreal, but me and her weren't on the same page. I should have probably been more accurate with my pings, and then Ezreal actually went over the wall. And I should have realized that with Ryze actually coming, I should have moved around the other side. And I would have been able to prevent Ezreal from escaping there. But unfortunately for them, they ended up surrendering, or well, fortunately for us. And so that was a 3-0 for the promo. And Tahm Kench, good, nice champ.